Hey everybody, how you doing? This is Jeeves. Good morning. I have a slow burn for you that has been a long awaited by many people, and it is going to be of Dream Theater, as you can see. That's why you clicked, obviously. Okay, so I'm getting right to it because there's just nothing about a short song with Dream Theater, and every single track here is at least 8 minutes, so this is going to be a long, slow burn. So let's just get right to it. You guys check the chapters, because if you have a favorite track you just want to get to, that'll make life a lot easier. Want to thank everybody at Patreon. They're my executive producers. You want to get your hand in on choosing tracks for a slow burn, or maybe pushing up that suggested track that you've always wanted to get in on rotation, go check out the Patreon link. Even if you stay for 1 month, I got a ton of videos there for you to check out. All right, so let's do this. This is the very first track, comes from the 1992 album, Images and Words. And this song is Take the Time. All right.
Wait a minute. Come on.
Just let me catch my breath. I've heard the promises, I've seen the mistakes. I've had my fair share of tough breaks. Need a new voice, new law, new way. Take the time, reevaluate. It's time to pick up the pieces, go back to square one. I think it's time for a change. There is something that I feel to be something that is real. I feel the heat within my mind and crafting changes with my eyes. Living freely, wandering promises, a place where decisions are fashion. I won't waste another breath. You can feel the waves coming on. It's time to take the time. Let that destroy you or carry you on. It's time to take the time. You're fighting the weight of the world, and no one can save you this time. Close your eyes, you can find all you need in your mind. Unbroken spirit, obscured in disquiet. My spirit is this trial demands. And at the end of this day, it's such an anxious relief. For the fortune lies still in his hands. You bear the price of fair, wasted yet men must let the cold. If this obsession trails, suppression that he feels must have the hell. Life is no more assuring than love.
Okay, so let's get right on this. I'm sorry, but the first thing that I'm feeling off of this, I'm not sorry, with my limited scope of rock, very Styx, like the band Styx, you know. This guy's voice is absolutely incredible. It is like balls in a vice grip, kind of these high notes up there that he's hitting with such ease and such power. But I think that his voice and the harmonies that he has behind me is what reminds me a little bit about like Styx. Now, something else I want to say, because I'm gonna try to keep my stops brief, but to hit the point. John on the bass, oh my God, he's crushing it. Right now, to me, he is the gorilla glue keeping this track together. Why do I say that? Of course, it's an incredibly produced and performed track. But the thing is that, you know, it's like a series of sewn in hooks, many different pieces of songs. It feels like there isn't anything that I'm coming back to saying, oh, here's the hook. No, here's the hook. No, wait, no, here's the hook. You know, because there's such extraordinary writing going on. But John on the bass is absolutely crushing it. And that opening kind of analog swell there, which is really nice. It kind of set off an ambience and stuff. And that nice little run that I believe Jordan was in the band at the time. I'm sorry, I didn't do any homework, but really love this whole integration of composition. But this is extremely progressive and stuff. So one of the things that I'm looking for are cool things to, you know, hang my hat on. And John's bass is absolutely crushing.
Ho perso la vista, ci vedo di più.
Absolutely brilliant. I love that unison arrangement and stuff like that. And everybody's playing in unison, and it sounds really badass. The organ sound that Jordan has and stuff like that. I love the drummer is just absolutely having a blast with this, and all the little nuances of him, hitting certain stops, and also on his cymbals or there's something percussive that he was doing a little earlier, but very funky. Yeah, I forgot to say that in my first stop. That's the thing about this particular track, is taking me through this full roller coaster of like I can't hang my hat and saying, oh, this is a prog rock metal piece or something like that, because they're kind of, for lack of a better term, kind of funk twerking us into different phases here, which the musicianship is just absolutely outstanding. But once again, this is Michelin star rating style fusion rock composition. So it's heady shit. And you have to have yourself in a really good place to listen to that. But I wanted to bring that up really quick about how killer that unison pass we just heard, and the fact that they are doing this kind of in and out, positive, soulful, funky thing as they kind of drift throughout some of the heavier rock stuff. is a fade. We must be in the early 90s. If you know, you know. My God, that guy's voice is absolutely incredible. The control and everything that it has. Now remember, I'm not a vocal coach, and so I'm not doing, a vocal breakdown as far as technique and stuff. But my goodness, when he's just totally, like, he never sizzled. You know, when I talk about that edginess in there, he just was like, like the oboe in an orchestra is like the Ginsu knife of the orchestra. His voice just cuts through. But when he turned it down and he faded down that power in that one softer section, sounded so cool. Something else, too, that I want to get to is the fact that another reason, I mean, this is 1992, extremely theatrical, Dream Theater, but theater, musical style rock performance to me in this, in the essence that there was so many wonderful micro hooks in this. And this was great to listen to musicianship wise as well. Now, of course, Guitar John, we all know what his techniques and his capabilities are. Speed and doing, arpeggiated riffs and stuff like that. Okay, that's nice. But I like, give me that. I love solos that have unique approaches with rhythm. When we know that they can do sweeps and they can tap, until the cows come home. But it's those particular little things that really, lock me into it. Okay, so let's get on to our next one. Our next one is coming from, I think, let me see. Oh, it's going to come from the same album. And this one is called, stand by for a second. I got to bust open my list because that's what this is. I'm going to have to edit. Okay, here we go. Got it all straightened out. Second song on the Dream Theater Slow Burn. This is from the same album that I just did the first one on, which was Images of Words and Words from 1992. This track is Pull Me Under. All right. Okay, this one obviously is really, if there's such a thing to say about Dream Theater, this is a little easier to listen to as far as staying into a consistent kind of mode of rock and stuff. I got kind of this kind of the metal gallop or the rock gallop kind of vibe with the way the drums were being played. I love that opening. See, I guess this is part of Dream Theater's thing, and all you fans, please let me know if I'm hitting it on the head. Is that they really want to pull you into their music. It's not about in it to a minute to win it hook kind of pop culture style composition of songs to try to make airplay or whatever makes some sense to like a record in an A&R guy that you have to get X amount of hits or something. They're really intent on pulling you in with really good, solid, strong arrangements. Something else that I love is that each musician, usually that I've heard in almost every Dream Theater track, really gets to take center stage, in and out quite often. It's not just about one musician. It's not even just about the singer. It's about the body of work and stuff like that. And I also love something else that I'm hearing that's really fun for me to listen to as an old engineer is the engineer techniques that they use on the drums. The drums has got, its own little, kind of a not muted pocket. What I mean by muted is like there's no ambience to it. There's nothing coming off wide, whereas the snare has kind of this giant, kind of small plate kind of vibe that really gives it some thickness. I love the tone that Jordan uses for his leads. He goes in and out of he doesn't stick with one particular tone in his song as he's doing some kind of melodic lead. And that opening with the guitar sound was so wide and so beautiful and so flowing. It pulls you in, but you still, you're in for a big journey and you're going to get, the metal elbow, the people's elbow when it comes to a track from them, so. Quick stop. When I'm doing this, do you hear it in the back? I don't know if it's an arpeggiation that he's holding it down and it's doing its own, a sequence and it's doing its own da 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 da, or if he's actually doing it that way. It doesn't matter which way he's doing it, but I love that. That's so cool. Listen for it. It just stopped on me, and I don't know if that was supposed to do that. Was that supposed to go into another song? Epic fail. My bad. Oh, I'm sorry. Did you see what I was just doing about with the bass and stuff? Love those kind of accents with the bass that John was doing. That boom, ding, ticka, ding, ticka, 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 blah, you know. This particular track was really fun for me in the sense that, unlike the other track, which was, you know, had the funk, had the this, had the this, had all kinds of stuff going on, this one got me into a really solid rock groove and everything like that, just as far as feeling it through and through with the tones and everything. There wasn't a lot of, like in the first track, there was a lot of kicking around of different tones based on, okay, they just went funky on us, now they cleaned up the guitar sounds and, you know, changed that up on us. This one, through and through, you know, nice and metal and full, great layering going on. There is layers that are happening there. I mean, because obviously when we were hearing that sequence that Jordan was doing, there's another synth part that's going on. I know he can play. He's the Danny Carey of keyboards. I don't know how best way to say it. They say Danny Carey is the octopus drummer. Well, Jordan is just incredibly talented, and he plays with hands and feet and whatever. So obviously pull that off in live, but. A lot of really nice, rich layers on this, and that's what I love about it. Once again, you got a song this long, and it really, rents space in your head, But this was a lot easier for me to listen to than the first one, if you know what I mean by how I said it. All right, next one. Now, we are going to go to another album. This album is 6 Degrees of Inner Turbulence. That's a cool name. This is from 2002, and the name of this track is Blind Faith. So let's do this. All right. Oh boy, this is 10 minutes long. Here we go. God, I love the sequencing that's going on in this. You know, these guys are so masterful at creating sonic environments. You know, this opened up very ethereal. And, one of the things that I like to do in my tracks, if I get the opportunity, is to really be able to utilize, delays and long reverbs and stuff like that. And you may have heard me kind of dip down a little bit. I'm trying to hear how they're pinging some of the delays and stuff. At the very front side of the track, where he comes in with his vocals first, there is a kind of a muted thing that's being played on this side with guitar. And I'm hearing a delay on it, but there's also another guitar part on this side that's pulled down lower that's holding kind of like an answer back melodic arrangement to it. So there's these little micro hooks in there that are so appealing that for a guy like me who listens to tracks the way I do because I'm afflicted, I can't help it, I sit there and I peel these things apart. And then as it goes into the second half of that, they pulled back on one of the arrangements. I couldn't pin it, but then it became more evident with the guitar pattern here. And it seems like they may have kind of pulled back the delay a little bit to give it a little more power as that second part of the singing was happening. But a lot of like the whole opening of the track with that ambient kind of vibe, with that very unique synth sound. But the arpeggiations that are going on back there are very trance. You get into a trance. And it's so unique. It's such a great sound. Completely joy for me as track number 3 out of the 5 that I've had the opportunity to hear so far. You know, the intense composition of the first one. The second one's a little more rock. This one's a little more ethereal pulling, but still maintaining, the true Dream Theater kind of, prog rock kind of vibe. This one's, though, is a little more richer on the Jordan arrangements and compositions.
Take the streets, the beaten path. System works for whom I ask. Yeah, have it all. The bigger house, a nine fence to keep you out. When did we all let you down? So come beside us, show us how. Our human spirit drowns. Don't think you hear me now. No sign of you around. What is it you want to see? Learn faith we have in you. Which direction do we choose? Give us something we can use. 'Cause you've done all you can do. And still life pushes on. With or without you, we got to carry on. Our will guide us to a place where we belong. Know where lies the truth. I am the believer who gives the sun to you.
I'm sorry, that solo was pure sizzle. You know, when the arrangements all drop out, you just have, bass, drums, and a guitar solo, and it's as fire is that? That is full plus 20 fire damage solo. That was just absolutely insane. Oh my God. This was the first time, remember, I'm not a big fan of any of the bands I listen to on this channel because this is a new journey. So if I've listened to 6 or 7 songs from a band in particular, I've said this many times, I don't believe I even get, a solid feel of their musicianship and capabilities. This is the first time that I've heard, this last 3.5, 4 minutes of Jordan's compositions and performance skills are just in my mind, I'm just like, as a keyboardist, of probably on a scale of 1 to 10, and he's a 10, I'm maybe a 3 at best. But I can deeply appreciate the piano composition, the technique, and the skill, and the arrangement of what he's playing is just phenomenal, especially when he breaks down into the piano section, and then you kind of hear this kind of slow sloping string arrangement that he does behind it. That sometimes keyboard players will do certain things, and what they'll do is they'll take that MIDI information or something and assign it to a sound that has a slow, swelling in and stuff to kind of give you the same kind of vibe as like maybe a synth sustained pedal kind of thing. But at first I thought, oh, is he doing that? He goes, no. I'm thinking, no, he didn't. Listen to what he did here with his arrangements. This to me, what I just heard, was an absolutely masterful expose of a keyboardist in a metal rock, genre. I mean, I know that I've heard a lot of other bands on this channel that come from Europe and stuff that are also keyboard heavy, but not like this. I'm sorry, that was just absolutely mental.
Let you down. So come Messiah, show us now. Throw us a pure lifeline. I hope that you hear me too. Proud to be around. There's more to us than we see now. Hey, we
What a great way to make ends meet. Uh-oh, does this go into it? Oh, okay, good. I got to fade out of this one. You know, one of the things that is absolutely amazing about what I'm listening to as well, you know, when I listen to music, I've already told you, some people call it synthesis. Yeah, synthesis. I see colors, I see notes going on to things and all that, but also as an old engineer, I just am in such awe of what it must take for the engineer to assemble all these incredibly intricate big truck and incredibly intricate compositions with so many different types of tones all at once. And we're not just talking about guitars and bass and drums. The drums were crushing on this. And I've seen pictures of the drummers that have come through Dream Theater. I think there's been 2 or 3, I'm not sure. Please don't smoke me in the comments. I don't know. But they're like of that. And they kind of remind me of the Neil Peart kind of drums, everything. I've seen pictures of it. And also, this did kind of remind me a little bit of Rush. There was a little bit more of that. And I think it was by virtue of also the way the drummer was playing. There was a lot of incredible, you know, that was just, don't try that at home, kids. You can blow out a cap. Well, I got a cap from hockey, though. My teeth will come flying out. Anyhow, but it was just amazing. But the engineering has got to be such a challenge. And I can imagine that the gang is pretty much in the studio probably during the mix process. The bass tones are incredible. And I'm going to go right back at this again with the bass. I love, love, love how they commit to a space in the mix so that the bass has consistent life throughout the whole track. It's a hard thing to do, especially if you're Metallica. No, I'm kidding. Oh, shit, here we go. Woo, did I just get myself in trouble? They always jip down on that bass. No, I'm sorry. I thought I would say that. If you're laughing, put down, I'm dying, I'm dying. All right. Anyhow, let's get on to the next one. This one comes from a 2003. The album is Train of Thought, and the track is Dying Soul. So let's do that. All right. Okay, this one without a doubt, for my experience with Dream Theater and everything that I heard, this is the most heaviest of metal tracks that I can, in my short listening, okay, so for all you big Dream Theater fans, I'm sure there's probably others, there's no two ways about it, but for my short exposure, this is as heavy as I've ever heard, and I'm loving every bit of it. You know, all the incredible arrangements and compositions and musicianship and technical aspects of performance and playing are without a doubt irrefutably amazeballs. But, you know, like I said earlier, these tracks, you need a certain kind of time and energy to sit down and enjoy it, or try to not be kind of pull open and be open to experience. One thing I will say that I got about this, you know, they open up all punchy and stuff and it got me all locked in. You saw me physically responding to that. But when they tracked down, or when they kind of slowed down, the vocals got in, I couldn't help but feel like there was the Tool on steroids kind of influence there. Now, I'm not saying that's what is happened, but just from my little scope of listening to metal in the last few years, there seemed to have been not only that in the performance and in the melody during when vocals came in, but also in the intensity with the effects that were going on, you know, that shrilly kind of AM radio style vocal that they, you know, there's different terms that they use for that. So I think some of the production value is what's leading me into that vibe. Also a completely different engineering on this is also giving me kind of that kind of vibe. I think a lot of times musicians as engineers, every few years as changes in technology and sounds go forward, everybody grabs from that salad bar of new opportunities, be it how engineers are doing what they're doing, different techniques, musicians using different types of combos with amps and plugins and effects and stuff. And as these new years move forward, we get the benefit of it. Production gets cleaner and it gets more powerful and stuff, and it gets easier to hear a lot of parts, as I said in that other track. But in this case, this is just full power rock. Adam, now I know why you suggested this to me. He's one of my Patreon members. It was also on a few other people's lists, but this was a definite something that one of my Patreon members, Adam, said, "Oh, you got to do this track." And I know Adam, he's into the heavy stuff.
Passing on the lane. A living reflection, see from miles away.
I'm sorry, but I'm catching just full Megadeth flex on the vocal engineering. That yeah, I think that's great. What did they do to my head during that weird transition of the rhythm? That was so badass. Man, did that just play with me? And I was just going, okay, where are they going? What are they doing? Okay, here it is. No, oh shit, that's not it. Here it is. What are they doing? That was so just mental. And I love that. And like I said, for this particular track, it's really heavy and bottom end and hitting and punching and stuff like that. It's just, but I had to stop really quick because that swirling of that, of the vocals and that whole thing kind of gave me a Dave Mustaine kind of vibe.
Help me, save me, heal me. I can't break out of this prison all alone. These tormenting ghosts of yesterday will vanish when exposed. You can't hold on to your secrets, they'll only send you back alone. Your fearless admissions will help expel your destructive obsessions. With my help, I know you can be at one with God and man. Hear me, believe me, take me. I'm ready to break through this prison wall.
Boy, oops, it stopped. Oops, sorry, my bad. Oh well. Must be another one of those tracks that goes right into something else. I don't know what was that flight of the Dream Theater Bumblebee that just happened there. It's just out of control in the sense that I just when I get to a different place of just listening to these guys, you just have to release it. I can't do any more as far as reacting. There's so much going on there. It's just absolutely mind-numbing. And the musicianship, I mean, John, look, I even bought a 7-string, thinking that if I had a little bit of the John Juju, I could go, but I can't because my fingers end up all going, because, you know, the older I get, the better I was. But if I can only play at the level 2 of his 10, I would be happy. That was just absolutely extraordinary, and I just can't put any more words into it, you know. Once again, though, I just have to keep leaning back into it. This is a Michelin star experience. You know, you have to be into this super fusion progressive metal composition. It's not easy listening, obviously, for a lot of people, but you know, I can tell without a doubt that the hardcore fans and people that have been following along in the trajectory of all of their careers, and even side bands that have, you know, they've gotten themselves involved with, it's just extraordinary. I don't know what to say, except that was just bone crushing. I can't, you know, I almost feel like I don't have enough energy to do another reaction, but I do have one more track I wanted to. And before I do, once again, I do want to thank you guys so much for hanging out. You know, it's always a blast doing these things. It's a little long sometimes. When tracks like this and music like this, I do have to end up, you know, maybe pouring me, you know, 3 fingers over some ice of some of the fine whiskey I got back there, and just to chill out. But I want to thank you guys. Patreon, please go check it out if you want to come and be an executive producer on some of these slow burns, and I've got stuff there. Also, if you just want to buy me a cup of coffee, hey, check this out. My stepdaughter just turned 30, and she's heavy metal in her blood, but she's a good island girl and stuff like that. But she had the full-on heavy metal. She called it death to her 20s. And so she goes, I said, can I get this? This was what do you call it, the center table piece or whatever. And killer skull cake. As a matter of fact, maybe I'll put it in my community tab tomorrow or something to show you guys. Anyhow, I don't know why I detoured. I think I went that way and looked at it. Anyhow, thank you so much for all your support. This is the final track. This is from the 2011 album, and this one is called Outcry. All right.
become the water wind our wars. As I welcome death, I hear the battle cry. Bullets fall like fire raining from the sky. Love never leave us all. Some think it's time to be suffered far too long. We gather now, growing stronger. We will not be ignored anymore, any longer. Our anthem will guide us. Rise up, be counted, stand strong and unite. Wait for the outcry. Resistance is calling tonight. Far too many years of chaos and unrest. Far too many voices brutally suppressed. We fight for what is just, for all that we believe. We fight till death or glory. Fight to be set free. The streets are paved in blood. Time to step down and time to walk.
So this track to me has more of a European Nordic kind of vibe, call to action kind of a thing. I did catch some of the lyrics in the sense that it's a, gather together we can conquer kind of vibe. And what's bringing that to me is also a lot of that synth work that's happening in the back. Like for instance, there's that chorus, a choir sound. It could have been a real choir. I'm not saying it wasn't, but there's that choir that's going on there. That's usually that kind of like I said, that kind of Europe, mid-Europe kind of Nordic call to action with the big voices going in the background kind of a thing, kind of like a Doom Eternal kind of thing. But then also along with that happening, he's also playing kind of church organ. So either playing those big gigantic church organ sounds that kind of evokes the thoughts of like, kind of a giant church. Even without you even knowing that's what it is, we're kind of programmed with, when you hear that type of organ, you're thinking it's coming from a gigantic cathedral and stuff. Also, I love the hybrid use of some of the percussive loop stuff that's going on in there. So obviously, as this whole show has progressed all the way through to this track, is what year is this? 2011. The fact that at least in that big jump from the last album. Song number 4, now that leaned into a little bit more of embracing a little bit of that hybrid loopy percussive thing, and also using soundscape as a percussive arrangement. Soundscape is like noises. There was a couple things in there that were very unique percussively, but were synth noises that are used in kind of a rhythmical pattern.
You'll never rule me now, though you may stand upon my grave.
What do I say about what I just heard? I can't say anything. I'm afraid to stop. Looks like there's a little bit left. Oh, good. I'm glad, if that's a purposeful move to fade out like that and give it, maybe 5-6 seconds extra on the fade of complete blank space, like quiet silence, so that the listener can prep for the next track. Freaking epic production move. This was a lot. That piece was just ginormous. And I can't say anything as a reaction except that. It was just absolutely huge. I just couldn't follow. I mean, I could follow what they were playing and everything. I'm done. I can't say anything more. There was extraordinary composition and stamina and performance. And, I've caught a lot of comments on other Dream Theater things that I've done. Everybody has an opinion of every different style, of every different band and stuff. But one of the most common opinions is that they are just brimming with incredible ideas, musicianship, performance, techniques, and everything like that, sometimes it sounds like they try to pack everything in one cooler, and send it out to the beach for the day. And, it can be heavy and it can be a lot. And like I said already previously in the show, I said you have to have, listen, my voice is cracking. I am exhausted, but not exhausted in a I'm over it kind of way. it's just phenomenal. You know, there's no bullshitting around this, man. The musicianship and all that is just insane. But, you know, I definitely think you have to have yourself prepped for this experience. You know, going to one of their shows has got to be ginormous. I've seen the videos and stuff. They play these great looking theaters and stuff. It's a complete experience. But I love, at least on this track, after all that insanity with all of the just everything that was played, and I had to make that short stop, and I got to say, at least for the last 3 minutes, they let me off the hook by bringing it into kind of more of a song format. Vocals came back in, brought that energy back down. The guys that can run off stage really quick and wipe the blood from their fingers from fucking, I don't know. Oh man, I'm done. I'm done. If you're still here, what are we typing? I'm still here. Thank you for your comments, for your time hanging out, if you even hung out through this whole thing. This by far was my longest show. This was well worth it. There's no two ways about it. And I want to thank all you Dream Theater people that have been hanging out, waiting long enough for me to do this. But it might be a while before I get back. I need to settle down. But they're just extraordinary. Fusion, metal, I don't even know what we want to call them. Dream Theater. That's all you can say. You guys take care. You know where the links are for all the support. And I'm going to go pour me that 3 fingers of whiskey right now and chill out. See ya.